Hello there everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you aren't. I'm EDJ, and today I'm going to be I'm going to be beginning the Julius Caesar series by Kings and Generals, covering from his time in the Gallic Wars all the way to the end of Antony and Cleopatra. So yeah, just for those of you who don't know, last Friday I began my Julius Caesar of Historia Civilis series, and on every Friday I will be uploading a new episode of the Historia Civilis Julius Caesar series every Friday, and every Wednesday will be devoted to here of the Kings and Generals Julius Caesar series. Reason I'm doing these two series at the same times, just on different days, is simply because I got recommended. When I was asking for recommendations, a lot of people said, you have to watch Historia Civilis' Julius Caesar, and other people said, you gotta watch the Kings and Generals. And then I thought, why not both? And so yeah, I've begun both. At the same time, granted, these videos won't be perfectly in line, because there's some context here. Here's a straight to the Gallic Wars, obviously, so there will be no overlap in a sense, but either way, I'm still gonna have a lot of fun with this. So yeah, like I kind of mentioned, Julius Caesar, we kind of saw his political genius in, the Historia Civilis first episode, and now we're gonna be looking. Kings and Generals focuses more, I noticed, on the battles, so we're gonna be covering his military genius now. It's kind of cool. I mean, granted, Historia Civilis will be covering battles, but I haven't seen him cover battles. I don't know how he'll do, but I've seen a lot of Kings and Generals, and I do love the way he covers battles, so overall, yeah. Let's just get to it.
Hungry for a big night? Rallies delivers the flavor with the 2 for $6. Yeah.
The new
My
tangled
headset
barbecue
on.
Swiss burger or fully loaded fry burger.
So yeah, if you guys want to watch the original video without me talking or pausing, the link will always be down in the description down below. And yeah, without any further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's watch Caesar and the Gallic Wars, the Battle of Bibracte? Wait.
Bibracte.
Bibracte? Is that how it's pronounced? Bibracte? Never mind. I'm sure he'll say it.
The Gauls were one of Rome's oldest and most bitter enemies. They had sacked Rome and throughout the centuries fought alongside the Republic's most dangerous adversaries, including Pyrrhus and Hannibal. By the end of the 2nd century BC, southern Gaul was largely subdued. However, there was still tension in northern Gaul, particularly along the Rhine. These tensions would ultimately climax in the Gallic Wars, the conflict that would shape the future of Western Europe for centuries to come, giving rise to the Holy Roman Empire and modern-day France. The conflict that would forever etch the name Gaius Julius Caesar in the annals of history. But before we start our video, we would like to thank our sponsor, Wix. Rome had been rocked by almost half a century of civil wars, and the Republic was in decline. Both Marius and Sulla had marched on Rome, highlighting the ineffectiveness of the system for maintaining a large empire, and the fact that the legionaries were more loyal to their generals than to the state. Following this chaotic period, 3 men had established an unofficial alliance to effectively control the Republic.
Yes, the triumvirate. The first triumvirate, I believe.
This was the first triumvirate, consisting of the famous general Pompey the Great, the richest man in Rome, Crassus, and Julius Caesar. Caesar had been consul the year before in 59 BC, but his
Guys, I'm so sorry to take away from this, but there's just something I want to share with all of you. I'm so sorry, but this is something that's been bugging me since I've been doing off-screen research of Julius Caesar. like I'm looking at these like busts of like his face, and like, is it me or does he look like Tony Hawk? Like, I don't know why, but every time I see Tony Hawk's face, I just think this dude looks like Julius Caesar. He looks like he could be like, you know, if we ever make another Julius Caesar movie, I would cast Tony Hawk as Julius Caesar, because just to me he looks like him. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, he looks like Tony Hawk looks like those, like just a Roman. Like, just cast him as like that. Julius Caesar, like, you know, doing no, I'm sorry, that's so stupid. Doing ollies on the Gauls and crap. Kick flips over his enemies, it'll be great. I'm sorry, it's been distracting to me. Let's get back to the video.
Political campaigning has left him in debt and made him many enemies in Rome. He needed to make money fast and gain enough military success to keep his political adversaries at bay. When the time came for distributing provinces for Caesar to govern as proconsul, he was able to use his political allies to secure Cisalpine Gaul, Illyricum, and Transalpine Gaul for an unprecedented 5 years.
Yeah, we covered that in the Historia Civilis, his year Julius Caesar. Yeah, 5 years was a little, like, longer than most governors would get, and he also got 4 legions, I believe, is what Historia Civilis said. So yeah, they wanted Caesar out of there, but they indirectly gave him more power, in a sense, that he obviously utilized. And man, as we know with the Gallic thing, just how brutal this war gets, and how, like, completely Julius Caesar just takes the fight to them, that yeah, this is going to be a really brutal conflict.
This put Caesar in control of 4 veteran legions, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, all of whom had fought with Caesar before in Hispania and were loyal to him. They had a total of roughly 22,000 legionaries, plus auxiliaries. Caesar now had the men he needed. All he needed was an excuse for war. Fortunately for Caesar, a Celtic tribe, the Helvetii, was planning a migration into Gaul in 58 BC. Their leader, Orectorix, had formed a confederation with a number of neighbouring tribes, the Tulingi, Latubrigi, Rauraki, and Boii, and now they numbered 368,000 men, women, and children. Orectorix had even convinced them all to burn their homes in order to leave no option of failure.
Dang.
However, soon he was accused of being a tyrant and was forced to commit suicide.
Oh. Oh wow.
Command passed to Divico. Divico was determined to stick to the plan and began amassing supplies in order to start pouring into Gaul. To do this, they would either have to pass through the land of the Roman ally Aedui, and
Yeah, so I believe how this goes, and I could be wrong, it's been a while since I heard this story, but essentially, like, these guys went through a Roman ally, and the Roman ally asked for help, and so Caesar, you know, kind of took advantage of the situation and went to war. I believe it was because, under the pretense of helping an ally, but this ruffled the feathers of the Senate, who were like, this is illegal, this war is illegal. But I think that's how it went. It's been a while since I looked up Julius Caesar, and, you know, it's been a while since, like, we covered Rome on this channel, but I believe that's how it genuinely went. Let's see if I'm right.
The province of Transalpine Gaul, or take the longer route through the mountain passes in the north. The Romans had built up a healthy fear of migrating tribes following the Cimbrian War in 113 to 101 BC, and so Caesar, hearing of this, was only too willing to come to the rescue of the Aedui. He took the only available legion in the area and force-marched them up to Geneva, destroying the bridge on the Rhone that provided access into Transalpine Gaul. The Helvetii appealed to Caesar, asking for military access through Roman lands and promising they would not attack. Caesar played for time, pretending to consider this offer for almost 15 days. Using this time, his legion was able to construct a fortified embankment almost 5 meters high, stretching 20 miles along the riverbank. With the legion manning the embankment and now in a stronger position, Caesar denied the Helvetii access and refused to allow them to cross. Some of the Helvetii ignored this and attempted to cross nonetheless in small boats, but were prevented from doing so by the legionaries throwing javelins and shooting arrows into them. With the southern route thus blocked, the Helvetii decided to take the longer northern route through the mountains into Gaul. Leaving his top lieutenant, Labienus, in command, Caesar returned to Italy to levy a further 2 legions and to pull the other 3 veteran legions out of their winter quarters in Aquileia, bringing his total to approximately 33,000 legionaries plus auxiliaries. Despite Labienus being in a strong position to easily block the mountain pass, the Helvetii managed to push into Gallic territories and began ravaging the land. The Gauls pleaded with Caesar to intervene and chase the Helvetii out, and Caesar, yet again, was only too willing to help, marching his legions into the Gallic territories. The decision of Labienus to not hold the Helvetii in the mountains was likely an order received from Caesar. The Celts were now in open terrain, which better suited the Roman legions, and their pillaging of Gaul gave Caesar an excuse to intervene.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too.
Dang, so yeah, like, man, great for Julius Caesar, right? He's probably like, awesome, I wanted to go to war, this entire opportunity just presented itself to him. He probably was super happy, I imagine. Like, talk about luck. Julius Caesar, in addition to just being a genius, was really lucky, you know?
Word reached Caesar that the Helvetii were currently attempting a crossing at the Arar River. They had been crossing in 4 large groups, using many rafts and boats, but due to the size of the horde...
Okay, so, like I said, I know some of the highlights and general parts of Julius Caesar. I'm not gonna pretend I'm like an expert or anything on the man, but, you know, I only know a few of his battles and how they went. Like, you know, like I mentioned last video, I mainly know the general outline and specifically his final days, but as to the specifics of what happened during his battles, I am a little unaware, so there is room for me to speculate. Like, other than knowing he wins, it's interesting to know how he wins, right? Specifically how he achieves his victories and his tactics during the heat of battles are alien to me. So I'm just gonna try to speculate. Since they're crossing, I'm assuming Julius Caesar's about to come across this group and probably destroy them, I'm guessing. Take out a good chunk of them, but then I'm wondering if he's gonna have to cross the river to get to them, and could that impede him? I guess I'll find out.
And their lack of organization, the crossing had already taken them days, and one group was still yet to cross. Caesar took his legions and swiftly marched to the river. Quickly forming his legions into battle formation, Caesar fell upon the Celts waiting to cross. Caught unaware, unprepared, and encumbered by their baggage, the Helvetii did not even have enough time to form a proper battle line. The fighting was over quickly, with the whole stranded group being killed or fleeing into the nearby woods, whilst the other 3 groups could do nothing but watch helplessly from the other side of the river. The main Helvetii force began to move on, and, not wanting to lose the initiative, Caesar quickly built a bridge across the river and moved all of his 6 legions across. The crossing that had taken the Celts 20 days had taken the Romans just 1.
Holy crap. That's
Caesar
terrifying.
began tailing the Helvetii, waiting for the right time to strike. There were a few minor cavalry skirmishes, but nothing decisive. Caesar did once manage to find a battlefield that was advantageous, and even had Labienus in position behind the enemy. However, due to poor communication from his scouts, Caesar was forced to pull back from the battlefield. This caused a delay in Caesar's plan, and he was beginning to run low on rations. He decided to head for the nearby town of Bibracte to resupply his army before continuing the pursuit. As he began to march off, however, Divico gave chase, harassing the rear of the Roman army. Caesar sent his cavalry and light infantry to fight a delaying action in order to buy time to deploy his main force on a nearby hill. The 4 veteran legions formed 3 lines at the front, with the 2 newly levied legions, along with the auxiliaries, positioned further up the hill. These men were not tested in battle, and so were not expected to do any of the fighting. Instead, they were to guard the baggage and were spread thin across the hill to seemingly increase the size of Caesar's army. The Helvetii, numbering somewhere between 60 to 90,000 warriors, had successfully fought off the Roman cavalry and light infantry, forcing them to retreat.
Oh, dang.
Now they had formed their infantry into a tightly packed shield wall and advanced on the Romans. The front 2 lines of legionaries opened the battle with a volley of javelins. These hampered the Helvetii by becoming stuck in their shields, forcing them to drop them and break into a looser formation. With the shield wall in disarray, the Roman front lines charged into melee. The fighting was intense and tough, but the Romans' discipline and experience gave them the edge. Slowly they began to get the upper hand, with the Helvetii being forced back to a nearby mountain. However, as the Romans pressed up the mountain, a portion of the Helvetii allies, composed of Boii and Tulingi, roughly 15,000 warriors, entered the battle. These men had been acting as a rearguard, protecting the camp, and now they fell on the Roman flank, threatening to encircle them. The Helvetii, bolstered by the arrival of their allies, began pushing back with renewed vigour. With the 2 front lines of legionaries already engaging the Helvetii on the mountain, Caesar committed his final line of veterans, which had been acting as a reserve. After hours of hard fighting, the Helvetii on the mountain were eventually broken and forced from the battle. However, the Boii and Tulingi fell back to the camp to make a last stand. Using their baggage wagons, they formed a makeshift rampart and continued the fight, hurling missiles down into the Roman ranks. This is where the fighting was the most difficult, as the Boii were famed warriors and fought desperately. Finally, after fighting long into the night, the 3rd line was able to break into the camp, ending the battle.
Dang, man.
The battle had lasted almost 12 hours. Caesar had lost perhaps 5,000 men, whilst the Helvetii had lost around 40 to 60,000. Of the 368,000 people.
Dang, that was a slaughter, dude. But yeah, the Romans, like, what's interesting is that what made them so effective was not only their adaptability and maneuverability. Sorry, I couldn't say that word correctly for a second, but it's their discipline. Like, Roman formations, and it's just their discipline is what made them such a terrifying force. And you really see just how they conquered basically like the world at one point, right? Like, man, it's insane.
People who began the migration, only 130,000 were now left. Caesar, with no cavalry to speak of, was not able to give chase immediately, and gave his men 3 days in order to recover from the battle before starting the pursuit. The Helvetii, seeing the Romans chasing them once more, surrendered completely and were forced to return to their homeland and made a vassal of Rome, acting as a buffer between Roman and Germanic lands. Caesar had achieved his aim of gaining a swift military victory, and for now, he would be able to hold off his political enemies in Rome. Furthermore, the Romans had now shown themselves to be a powerful force in the Gallic theatre. After his victory, Caesar rested in Bibracte for a short time before moving on. Rumour had already reached him of a Germanic tribe that had crossed the Rhine and was terrorizing Gaul. The Gallic Wars were just starting, and in our future videos we will talk more about them, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button.
So yeah, alright guys, that was epic, man. Just the beginning of the Gallic Wars, and just man, Julius Caesar was insane. Like, I'm still shocked that these guys took like what 20 days to cross a river. Julius Caesar literally just did it in a day and then just proceeded to annihilate them. And now I can't wait to see more of, you know, just of his great military exploits. And I will see you all next, well, Friday for Historia Civilis, but if for this series particularly, next Wednesday. So I'll see you all then, everyone. Goodbye, and yeah, see you then.